Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Maal Smith, episode 2. We in here. I appreciate everybody, tuning into the first episode. Um, just trying to figure this thing out. Just trying to figure out how I'm gonna go about things. Building a structure, building a little foundation. But yeah, I like the outcome of the last episode. It was pretty good. Um, I'm gonna keep on following it. Hopefully, my turtle isn't an asshole. It doesn't make a whole bunch of noise. But anyway, um, so yeah, what we talking about today? What we talking about? Let's get into some music first. Um, One thing that I realized, I forgot to mention the Kendrick Lamar album last week. How could I? How could I forget Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers? You know what I'm saying? A masterpiece of an album. You know what I'm saying? Uh, I already knew that this album was gonna be like, I didn't know what to expect with this album, but I just knew that it was gonna be one of them ones. It was gonna be different. It was gonna stand out and all of that. Even the first listen, I remember listening to this shit and I'm like, what the hell am I listening to? Like, it was just so unexpected, or it was kind of left field in a way from Kendrick, but it wasn't at the same time. It wasn't. It wasn't so left field, like out of what Kendrick would do, but it was. It was It was new things. It was new experimental shit that he was doing, but in similar pockets. So like even with like N95. Like even though that you can tell that single was like the main push, like he was in different pockets, different cadences and all that on that type of song. Like even though it was one of the few up tempo songs of the project. Um Listen, I got a few, like, it was funny when I first was listening to it, like when I first did the first couple playthroughs. Like, I had a few like standout tracks that was like it to me. But, after listening to it over and over again, I'm like, I ain't gonna lie, like all of these shits right here is just that shit. Like and that's how I feel like music should be consumed or appreciated. Not to say that everybody has to listen to music like that, but I feel like that is Kendrick's intention, for one. And I feel like it's just best digested like that. You don't just pass judgment on something the first time that you listen to it. You give it a try. Like, granted, you might not like what you hear in the beginning, like when you first check something out, but you never know. Like, eventually down the line, you might actually realize, like, oh shit, like that one is actually fire. Like that meme, like, oh, I'm the song that you skipped that you realize was fire later on down the line. Like shit like that. Um, but yeah, Kendrick, man, this album, it was a lot of gems, a lot of jewels that he dropped. It was a lot of reflection. You can tell he was just thinking in his head a lot, just reflecting on life, and it just spoke so much to me, as an artist and as black men. Uh, it really resonated like fucking Father Time. That was one of the standout tracks to me in the beginning. I'll say this, like, I don't really have a particular order or favorite. Um, but like I guess the top 5 songs that I'll go back to: N95, Die Hard. That's my shit. I'm waiting to hit my drunk 2-step with that one. I ain't gonna lie. Um, with a shorty though, not by myself. So hopefully eventually, before the end of December, I'm trying to do that. But yeah, Die Hard. Uh, So N95, Die Hard, Father Time. Like initially, that one spoke to me very deeply. Um, Rich Spirit, it's a good record. You already know that controversial We Cry Together. I was loving that song. I love that song. I'm not gonna lie. Like he like that man did that thing. Like I can't even like try to like break it down more than just to say that he he exhibited what a lot of people go through and a lot of people do within their relationships with that skit or with that song. And it's probably unconscious that is going on, but he made it more conscious. He made people more aware of their own actions through that song. Like I even felt like PTSD from listening to that song. Like it just felt like you can resonate with it. Like you feel like you've shared some type of experience throughout that whole ordeal. If not the whole thing, a part of it, pieces of it. So yeah, that song was one of the ones that cut deep. You know, uh, what are the songs off of there? You got Ghostface on Purple Hearts. Where on Purple Hearts, Westside Boogie, I think he helped write Summer's verse. So yeah, shout out to Boogie on that. That's a big accomplishment. I fuck with Count Me Out. Like yo, the main shit that I be going back to, Mirror. Like plus those other tracks too, like Mirror, N95, what is it? Die Hard and Rich Spirit. I think I'm missing one. I think it was Father Time. But those are like the main five or so that I just like. If I'm not in the mood to listen to it all the way through, I'm gonna go to those songs. Like just cause like oh yeah N95. I'm in the car, we bump it N95. Or if I'm in a different bag, I throw on Mirror. So that album was a masterpiece. That man is making music for generations to come, and you can tell. Like, and it was funny because when it first dropped, you know, it was like a big split. It was like a huge divide in how people experienced and viewed the album. Like it was either you loved it or you hated it type shit. And it didn't make sense to me because it was like, you know, what do y'all want at this point? And this is me as a New Yorker, and I've come to realize why I keep on forgetting. A lot of New Yorkers don't like Kendrick. This is what I'm coming to like realize. Like I guess because he's very eccentric and different. He's not. I guess basic. I don't want to just say it like that, but like, he's not surface layered, surface leveled. So, I guess people are not always drawn to him immediately. But that doesn't knock the artistry, you know what I mean? Like I feel like people they just want what they want. You know what I mean? They just want what they want what they think they want. You know what I mean? And until the artist gives them what they feel that they need. Like, and that's just a tough position to be in as an artist, like, to want to give the people what they want and also give them what they need, you know, to find balance within that's a very challenging thing to do, because a lot of the times it's either or, whatever you feel that is, like, whatever you feel like, oh, this message, this sound is what they need or what they want, and that one, the other ladder will be for another outing, or they don't need to hear this yet type of thing. Like, but that that shouldn't make you not want to appreciate the music though. You know what I mean? Like, even if you feel like it's something that you don't want but you probably need, or you probably need but you don't want, you know, I guess I'm saying the same things in just different ways. I like doing that. But yeah, it was a huge divide, and on social media and just in real life, like, it was just a lot of people that just wasn't jacking the album. Like, New Yorkers was not jacking the album. It's craziness. And I started seeing some people changing their minds a little bit after a while, which was cool. You know, I was like, oh, you seeing the light? Cause if off rip, I'm like, y'all not jacking this shit at all. Like, what do y'all like? What is y'all frame of reference? What are y'all usually listening to? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's just me. I can't compare myself or connect myself with others because I'm not everybody else. So it's like when I when I hear certain opinions or when I see certain opinions, it throws me completely off because it's like, well, what did you want? You know, like, well, what did you expect? So yeah, it's been a whole like month and some change since Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers dropped. Uh, phenomenal project, phenomenal project if you ask me. Um, one thing about it though is like it's the end of an era with TDE. You know, that was this was Kendrick's last effort on TDE. He's no longer on the roster. He's PG Lang now, you know, and I just wonder how that's gonna be for the rest of TDE in his future. You know, because I'm thinking about Ab Soul, but not only him. I'm thinking about Schoolboy, J Rock. You know, the people that were here in the beginning. You know, SZA, Isaiah Rashad. I mean, they're building. They're building as time progresses, but at the same time, the people that stood at the forefront and trailblazed for TDE, I'm just wondering how things are gonna be for them in the future. You know, but I have faith that they're still gonna be good because TDE picks quality artists, whether you wanna admit it in the beginning or not. Like they do that. Like I haven't seen like a bad choice from TDE. Like even with Reason, like when they first announced that Reason was gonna be one of the newest additions to TDE, I'm like, who the fuck is this? I mean, not like that in a completely negative way, but it's like, all right, somebody else again, no soul. Like we waiting for Black Hippie and the people that are originally started up with TDE to pop out, but then they coming out with all of these new artists. So a part of us is like, or a part of me was like, all right, these guys building a label, but where's the Four Horsemen at? Like, where are these guys? And even though that's what a lot of people wanted, including myself, it was refreshing and it was dope to see the new artists that TDE brought in actually be fucking dope. I mean, it's not. That's what they do though. That's the thing. Like, it's not. I shouldn't say it's not expected, but like it's refreshing to see people make good choices with artists, or seeing good artists be put at the forefront of major labels or big labels. You know what I mean? It's You don't always see that. You know, Reason, that man can rap. You know what I mean? Is he the best rapper in TDE to me? Not necessarily. But that nigga's still nice. Like, don't get it twisted. That nigga got bars. Like, I won't, like, there's some freestyles that he has uh fucking performed and I've seen it and like, alright, this nigga, like his correlations and shit like that, his wordplay be different. And that there you have it, the first album that he had, or mixtape or whatever the case, that he had put out when he first got signed, that shit was fire. So just seeing everybody else come along You know, even with Isaiah Rashad, I just got into Isaiah Rashad probably the Suns tirade. That's when I got into him. Like when he first got signed to TDE, I didn't really look into him so much. But after a while, after he brought some new music in, I'm like, all right, this motherfucker's good. Like he's different, but he's good. You know, it's not what we're used to with TDE, with you know the regular Four Horsemen and their lyrical abilities and stuff like that. It's different. It's a different musicality element to them. So that's just fire. But yeah, like even with Ray Vaughn, that's a new artist from them. Zakari's dope. Speaking of Zakari, he just dropped a new song with Isaiah Rashad. Maybe I guess last week or 2 weeks ago, or whatever. Um, uh, that shit was fire. I'm not gonna lie. Like I wasn't even expecting to see that pairing. I guess it's not the first time I've seen that pairing, but when I saw it at this point in time, after becoming a fan of Isaiah Rashad and wanting to listen to Zakari, I'm like, oh, let me check this shit out. The shit was fire. Like Zakari with his angelic melodies and vocals, and then Isaiah Rashad with his muddy like his muddy grimy flow. That's the word. You know what I mean? Like it was a good jam. Um, yeah, TDE. They doing their thing though. They doing their thing. All right, what's next? All right. So, people that already know me, they know I am not the biggest Drake fan. Now, that doesn't mean I don't like Drake at all, but that just, for me, it's just like I'm not about to be riding the wave every time he's out. Like, that's just me. That's always been, that's just the thing about me. I'm not the one to hop on trends. Like, I don't mean to make it so like, oh, I'm so different type of thing, but like that's just literally not me. Like I'll go the other way before joining everybody else immediately. You know, like if I want to fuck with it, then I want to fuck with it, not just because everybody else is fucking with it. That's what it is for me. But I say that to say, you know, I haven't really listened to a full Drake project in years. Like I think I was about to say Champagne. Certified Lover Boy was the last Drake project that I listened to front to back, and that was mainly because, or in a while, and that was mainly because I was trying to give it a chance because I was even seeing Lupe like shout out a couple bars from him and seeing certain rappers saying that he in a rapper bag this and third. I'm just like, all right. And remember that shit was going against Donda, so it was really just it was really more so a, how can I say it? Like I don't want to say experimenting, but a comparison time for me, like because I listened to Donda first. I'd pick Kanye over Drake. That's just me. But like I picked Donda first to listen to, and then I listened to CLB. And people was trying to say that CLB was better than Donda or vice versa. I personally feel like Donda was better than CLB. That's just that. Like, is musically, sonically, maybe not lyrically, but even then, it it just it didn't really compare. I feel like it was two different lanes anyway. But I say this to say, this new Drake effort though, I haven't listened to the project. I listened to Sticky though. I heard that one. I haven't listened to the project. But this is my thing. I'm not the biggest Drake fan, or I'm not a Drake fan like that or anymore. Like last time I was a Drake fan, Hypher came out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Take Care. I feel like that was like the typical like old Drake fan answer. Like, oh, Take Care was his last best album. But that was legit one where I fell off of him at. Like, Nothing Was the Same, I'll say it probably, and that's another, I didn't even listen to that album either. But, you know, Take Care was around the time I stopped caring. Like, you feel me? Like, that was just what it was for me. Like, I kind of stopped caring around Take Care. And because it just seemed like he was going into a whole nother lane and going, just doing mad other shit. Like, and there's nothing wrong with doing that as an artist, but for me, I just, I just didn't really like it, you know? It just seemed like you cannot tell me that it wasn't a time period where Drake was just jumping on the latest trends, bro. You can't tell me that that wasn't the facts of the situations. Like, that's all he was doing. That's all he was doing. Just jumping on trends or jumping on the newest artist song, make it poppin', and then on to the next. Doing that over and over and over again within the past like 10 years or some shit. The nigga just hopped on like 30 trends. And that's probably an exaggeration or an understatement. So, you feel me? I say this all to say, it's funny how, because it wasn't up until CLB where, or maybe even more life, I started seeing people kind of like straying away from like the praise of Drake. Little by little, they were kind of realizing that this nigga's just fucking hopping on waves and riding them. Like, that's all he's doing. But this shit was apart. Not this project. I don't know about this whole project. But the point I'm trying to make is that it lacked something. All of the other projects was lacking something. And this seems like, for me, it felt like because he was probably doing the same thing over and over again. There was no experimentation. There wasn't much of a difference within his music, And that's what people was loving or disliking. Like, with Tootsie Slide. Like, this is one thing that I realized with me. When Drake does something that people don't like, I actually like the shit. Like, that's the main point. I just wanted to kind of give that backstory. But, like, with Tootsie Slide, when that shit dropped, I'm like, oh, yeah, left foot, right foot slide. Like, I like that shit. I'm like, all right, that shit was kind of catchy. Niggas is like, nah, this, that, and the third. You just trying to get clout, this, that, and the third. I'm like, this nigga been doing that, bro. Like, what the fuck? Like, now it's a problem? Like, come on now. Now when I actually like the tune, that's when y'all want to be like, nah, fuck that shit. It's kind of the same thing with this. Niggas not jacking this house album, this dance album, whatever. But I like the fact that he took that route. Because it's different from what he usually does. And for one, I'm low-key tight, damn. I'm low-key tight that Drake ended up doing it first. Because I always wanted to do like some rap over techno on some Daft Punk shit. Or whatever the case may be. But if I do it now, I mean, I'm probably going to do it eventually down the line. Just because. But if I do it now, it's going to sound like or seem like I was inspired by Drake or some shit like that. So it's just going to be... I'll still probably do it eventually, depending on the vibe or situation. But that's just how I see it. Like, oh, you trying to be like Drake now? Like, nah, I've been thinking about, like, because if you have a metronome or if you have a certain BPM, you can rap on anything if you're nice. So that's just that. But, I say that to say, Sticky go hard. Sticky go hard. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't listen to the rest of the album, but Sticky go hard. You know how Sticky get? That's the only song that I'm really like open to listening to though, and that's just how it is with me and Drake's albums or songs, whatever the case. It's just how it is. Let's see. But I say that to say, before I get off of Drake, uh, it's okay to try different things. You know what I mean? People like, and this kind of goes back to the Kendrick shit, because it's like Kendrick's doing something different from what people expected, so people didn't really like it off rip. Drake kind of did the same thing, people not liking it, but eventually letting time pass, letting the music sit, pardon me. People are starting to like it. It's starting to grow on people. That's another thing. People got so used to the microwave era of music, the SoundCloud shit or whatever, that, you know, they just expect everything to be fire right away, and that's not how it goes. You know, that's not how it goes. But hey, it is what it is. People gonna like what they like. People gonna dislike what they dislike. I mean, it's all subjective, but I feel like people just they drag they tend to drag certain opinions sometimes and try to make it more than it is. And it's like, yo, it's just an opinion. You know, like, you don't gotta try to go hard to make it fact. You know, I don't know, but this is coming from an Absol fan that will fucking go at your fucking neck if you try to like go sideways at him. So go figure. But yeah. Anyway, any other music topics we could talk about? JID. We went from TDE, went to OVO, now we on Dreamville. JID, J. Cole. Well, J. Cole, that man's out of here. That man is on his executive producer shit, head of a label shit. That man is on a different level right now, getting to them M's. But the music isn't lacking. Like the off season, great project. You know, even though it was like 12, 13 songs, great project. That song was in heavy rotation last year. Started bringing it back into rotation this summer. Hung on Hillside, probably my favorite song on that whole album. That and Applying Pressure. No, Applying Pressure, Let Go My Hand, Hunger on Hillside. It's top 3 right there for me. But yeah, J. Cole is that guy, holding down the guys. They did a D-Day mixtape a couple months back. I only listened to it a couple times. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Stick was the main one that stood out to me, and that's the one with JID. But JID is that nigga too. I'm waiting for him. Really, like now that Westside Boogie came out, these are the main people that I was waiting for this year. I was waiting for Westside Boogie, JID, Absol. Absol first, of course, but you know, it's just the order. But those are the main people that I was really waiting for albums. Like Kendrick, yeah, of course, but like wanting to see where they took it next. I wanted to see where Westside Boogie took it, JID took it, and Soul. Those are the main 3 that I want to see. Like, all right, where are you about to take us next with this? You know? And JID, this guy been quiet for some time now. He dropped a single earlier this year with 21 Savage, Surround Sound. But that's all we really heard from him. Like, he just dropped a freestyle, maybe. I think I just seen it on Spotify recently. I think I seen it yesterday. But, you know, my man is in hibernation. I can tell he's working, though. He's preparing for album mode. So, more than likely, we're going to get him in the fall, I feel like. Because it's already July. If he don't come within the next month, he coming in fall, you know. So that's just that. I feel like he's probably gonna drop in November, like again, like he did in for DiCaprio 2. But JID is a beast too. Like, that man is different. That man's flows is different. His voice is different. Like, that man, he reminds me of Kendrick a lot. A lot of people, I feel like a lot of people have already said that. But his cadences, his flows is reminiscent of Kendrick. But at the same time, if you're comparing him to one of the greats, you compared Logic to them, then that means they're doing something good. Like, they're doing something right. So you can't even like make it like a negative thing, you know. But yeah, JID. Oh yeah, Boss. I haven't heard a Boss project in a minute. I feel like he's on the way. He dropped a song with J. Cole and Lil TJ. The Jackie. That was like last year. Speaking of Lil TJ, he's good now. Shout out to Lil TJ. Freaking got shot, damn near paralyzed. Hope he's actually healed and recovered right. That shit is fucked up. Like, boy got shot in Jersey. Shout out to him. Prayers to his family. Um, yeah. Is that it on music? I think that's it on music right now. Touched on Kendrick, touched on Drake. Sounds wrong as hell. Talked about Zakari, Isaiah Rashad. Alright, so I feel like we good off of music right now. I feel like we spent a little bit more. I'll plug myself in later at the end. Let's talk about some things that are currently happening now, or a better way of saying current event topics. Oh yeah, so I finally seen the video of the baby mama drama shit with the McDonald's or whatever. I just like probably just right before I started recording. That's when I saw it. Like, I seen a clip of the Breakfast Club. They was talking about it. Now, I didn't like it. It was a short clip, but even still, like, it didn't really seem fake, but it could have been. Pardon me. It didn't really seem fake, but a part of it could have been. But at the same time, like I said before, like, man, that shit is not that serious for somebody to be recording somebody else about it. Like, keep that shit between y'all. That's another reason for me to think that, like, you know, it's a ploy for her to go viral or just get some type of attention, is because, like, yo, you're not the only one with baby daddy issues. What makes you think that, you know, what makes you so special? The fuck? Yeah. I don't really want to stay on that one too much because we already talked about it enough last time. But I just wanted to talk about it because I remember I was saying, like, oh, I haven't seen the video at all, da da da, and I finally seen it. So, you know, that shit there. I don't mean that it's some real shit or not, but fuck it. What else? Oh yeah, fucking the bodega shooting. That was pretty tragic. Over a fucking EBT card. Shorty, her car was fucked up or whatever the case may be, and I guess she thought that the guy was trying to get over on her, or he was. I was watching the video, but then I didn't realize that, like, that was the main video that everybody was talking about until the end. You know what I mean? Like, but it seemed petty. Man's died. Like, that's another thing too. I heard. See, this is why I even thought that this fucking other video was fake, because I heard about that shit on the radio, rightfully so, because somebody died. But I heard it on the radio first, and then I saw it eventually. With the other video with the baby mama drama stuff, I heard it on the radio, but I didn't see it. So it's like, what's going on here? But anyway, back to the point. Yeah, the fact that she called her mans to come rectify the situation is stupid. Like, What did you think that was gonna happen in that situation? Like, just because you called your boyfriend, what you thought that the stuff was gonna get paid for? Then you thought like the dude was declining your car because of what? Fucking, you thought he was stereotyping you? Like, come on now. Like, now you lost your boyfriend because you wanted to amp him up to do some shit that he don't got no business doing. And I don't want to victim blame, but at the same time, bro, what are you doing going behind the counter? You like you what you that man looked like my age or a little older. You should know that these niggas be having it on them behind the counter, bro. Like they're they rightfully can have a fucking gun behind the counter, self-defense. Even if you feel like it wasn't self-defense, they're defending their store. They have it on them for a reason, to protect themselves. If you go behind the counter, there's no telling what you're gonna do to them. So, like, come on, bro. Like, what are we doing here? We doing like, man's died over a girl. Man's died over. Like, let's minimize it even more. Let's synthesize it even more. Man's died over a fucking EBT card. What are we doing? What are we doing, bro? Like, come on, bro. Is our prides that fucking high? Is it that blinding that we can't just be like, we can't just try to rectify any situation other than being belligerent and angry? Like, granted, everybody has the right to be angry or whatever, this, that, and the third, but does that mean that you have to do things without thought? Like, you know what I mean? Like, think about what you're doing before you do it. Like, you could have easily just pulled up, talked to the dude, behind from the other side of the counter, tried to rectify it, man-to-man conversation. But you trying to put up a front, or not even put up a front, put up a show, have your chest all puffed out, trying to make some shit happen behind the counter of an establishment. What do you think is going to happen? And the crazy part was, I seen the video, but I couldn't see. Like, I think they edited the video. I think they edited when he got shot, because 1 minute the dude pulled up on him, he was talking, he was all in his face, Then the next second, man's was bloody on the floor. So they had to like cut that part out somehow, some way. But still tragic. Still tragic. Man lost his life over a fucking EBT card. Like, what are we doing? What are we really doing here? Everybody's saying like, oh, that guy, the man behind the counter, he should go to jail too. Like, I'm seeing two different things. Like, oh, he should go to jail too. Oh, he shouldn't go to jail. Self-defense. And it's like, bro, you went behind the counter, bro. Like, they can try to pull off a lot of things once you're being the aggressor. Like, self-defense. Like, I mean, yeah, he probably didn't put hands on him, but at that point, you're behind the counter. Like, if you was at the store, like, say I was at my old job. I used to work for Walgreens. Say you walk behind the counter at my shit. Now, it's different because it's Walgreens, so it's a whole different policy. But if you come behind the counter, there's gonna be some action taken upon you for you to get from behind the counter. Like, and if you touch one of the workers, after that, there's no holds barred to what happens back to you. Like, that's just that. Like, once you cross that line between customer and worker, and it's just human beings now, you can't, all you gotta do is just face what's coming to you on the other side of that. And there's been plenty of times people have been tried to play with me while I was behind the counter, mainly because they knew that I couldn't do anything about it. So all they was doing was using their words. using their words, being belligerent, being aggressive, trying to get a rise out of me. And they do it. People do it with a lot of other cashiers as well. But you know, it's up to you to not let it affect you so much, or not push you to the point where you want to get physical with somebody. You know, because then you fuck up and you lose your job. But this is a whole different scenario because this is a fucking bodega. So, Walgreens, you're not holding a pistol behind the fucking counter or a shotgun behind the counter. You got security guards, you got the cameras and shit. But, you know, as workers, they're not allowed to touch the person. Unless they touch you, then it's a different story. But that's a bodega. There's no policy for that. You come behind the counter on some bullshit, anything is liable to happen to you. Like, that's just that. That's just that. So it's just a sad situation. I've been seeing people also saying, oh, the lady, the girl that told him to pull up should go to jail too, or whatever. And I don't. I feel that way, but should she just because? I don't know. Because it's her fault. Like, at the end of the day, like, yeah, he took it further than what it was, but if she didn't call him to do all of that, he would have lived to see another day. It's fucked up, but it's like black people are dying over the stupidest shit, over the littlest shit, almost every fucking day. And it's mind boggling, bro. And it's like more it's more how can I say, it's more conversations and more debates on whether one party deserved it more or not, when it's like, is everything gonna be a debate now? Like, why can't one thing just be right and we just go with that? Not everything needs to be a debate. It's like, what the fuck? I don't know. I don't know what to do about that, man. Or how to feel about that. That shit is crazy. That shit is crazy. To lighten the mood, or to change the subject, I should say, the CERN portal. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I haven't been looking into this, but I just been seeing a lot of people. Like, this is what I'm saying. I get a lot of my information from social media, or I see a lot of shit from social media. Like, people bring things up on social media. They start their debates or whatever. Or excuse me, they state their opinion on it. And then I see another person state their opinion on it, another status, or comment sections, debates, all about this one thing. And I've yet to look it up, because cause they, people tend to overly explain on social media and try to, give the truth of what is really going on, before they really even know what's going on. So apparently, the CERN portal was supposed to be like, it's a particle generator, right? And evidently they was doing something there. Sorry, it sounds so like unprepared, but I mainly want to go back to the, like, what I don't know if people remember the God particle. Like, they had a whole thing about that. They had a whole documentary about it on Netflix at one point. The God particle. This came out like probably 10 years ago now. You know, uh, and basically with the God particle, it was basically a gigantic particle generator. Or, if I'm saying it right, hold on. I don't want to be saying the wrong things. but particle accelerator. I think that's what the word is. I don't want to say generator because it sounds wrong, but particle accelerator. Uh, but basically, oh yeah, hadron collider. See, this was already they already talked about this. Like, I don't know what's new about it now that they're doing, but I remember watching a whole documentary about it years ago, and they were trying to basically create the Big Bang over. That was essentially what they were trying to do. They were trying to figure out how the Big Bang happened or recreate it. And there was a lot of theories about behind that, like how there was fucking once they activated it, a whole portal came in or opened up, and a whole bunch of otherworldly or other dimensional entities came through, and we didn't even know about it. This, that, and the third, and you know, who knows if that really happened? We didn't see anything. They probably wouldn't tell us if it did, but I noticed that it's not on Netflix no more. You don't really hear about that shit no more. And it's just now coming back into mainstream media that they got a particle accelerator going on. And the thing about it this time is that they saying like, oh, they're doing that so they can distract you from the 777 portal that's opening up for all of us to, like, you know, open up the, like, I've just been seeing a whole lot of stuff on that, and I don't think it's neither here nor there. Like, I don't think they're trying to distract us from one portal from the next, but I feel like they are messing with the fabric of reality, or attempting to. You know, they're doing things that, you know, we don't have any prior knowledge over or of. So everything is going to be like questioned and misunderstood. So everything is going to just seem wonky and false and fake and stupid to some, you know. Because when people see like, oh, 777 portals, this, that, and the third, all of this good energy off rip, people are gonna be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Even me initially, when I'm saying like, what are y'all talking about? Pardon me. What are y'all talking about? What portals? Like, not to say that I don't believe in it, but where did y'all get this information from? That's all I be wanting to figure out. Like, who told y'all this part? Not to knock anybody, but it's like, yo, who told y'all that this was gonna happen? I want to know, just because I want to be in the loop, not because I'm doubting anything. It's just like, nah, I want to know where y'all getting your information from, or is this just one snowball thought? This should just keep on getting bigger and bigger off of one little thing, and it's not really based off of any fact. But when you're dealing with the metaphysical and the and otherworldly things don't always tend to be based off of fact. So that's a whole nother thing. But my point is like, yo, we don't know what they're doing. We can't have like the 777 portal was open. Allegedly on the 7th. We didn't feel any difference. We didn't notice any difference. We went about life the way we normally do. So it's like, what made y'all make that assumption? I'm just trying to figure out. I just want to know. But yeah, I hope we hear more about this, in which like, we can look into it all we want, but at the same time, they're not gonna really tell us exactly the motives or exactly what it is that they're trying to accomplish. That's just that. So good luck with that. Good luck with trying to figure out what governments are going to tell you or are doing and tell you what they're doing. Good luck with that shit. CERN. Okay. So I wanted to talk about us versus them. I mean, us versus us. I'm sorry. Black men versus black women. Now, I didn't necessarily want to start off with any particular direction. I just knew that I just know that it's getting very out of hand. You know, the black social dynamic is getting out of hand. It's getting unbalanced, and I don't think people really realize it, or they realize, but they don't. They realize and they don't realize. Like one minute, some people realize that social media is having a certain effect on us, or the world is having a certain effect on us, and then other times it's like, fuck all of that. They probably don't really care. But it's like, how can you half-ass the caring? Like, I don't understand. Like, people expect so much from others. Like one thing that I seen, it was like there's a lot of entitlement and expectations. That's why a lot of relationships aren't working out nowadays. And I can't say that can't be any truer, because we all have this idea of what a man should be doing or what a woman should be doing for them, and it's all based off of social media and what our parents taught us. And one thing is, a lot of the things that our parents taught us weren't the best things to be teaching. Like, so it's like a lot of people have a lot of different perspectives on things, and they're going about life with these different perspectives respectfully, but time is passing, generations are going about, like generations are evolving, certain uh certain worldviews or certain views in general are still being inherited and passed on, that probably wasn't the best advice or best way to go about it. Like people always tend to point the finger, or people always tend to think that somebody is supposed to do something for them in order for them to do something for them. Like it's not always like that. People feel like you got to be 100% when you meet with another person in order for that person to fall in love with you. And it's like, where did you get that idea from? Like, now granted, self-love is the best kind of love, but that does not mean that you have to be an arrogant prick or arrogant bitch to try to gain love. You don't have to be that way. Like, because certain people just tend to be, like, because what it is now is like people have turned the self-love before anything else type of love narrative into, if I don't like, if it's not me, then fuck everybody else, or me over everybody else, which isn't the wrong way to go about it, but there has to be a balance, because things that could be beautiful and pure can easily turn toxic just by how you handle it or how you approach it. So it's a thin line. between how you want to treat somebody, how you feel like you should be treated, and you know, just how what frame of reference we have had to think that certain ways to be treated is okay. And this I was just on the phone with one of my friends yesterday, and we had a little quick discussion, but I was talking about it. you know she was saying how she was kind of on some self-centered shit or whatever, and I'm saying it was like, well, I get that, but that doesn't mean that that's always how it has to be. And I feel like that's in the response of you having to do everything by yourself. Because if you didn't have to do everything by yourself, or you didn't feel like you needed to, then you probably wouldn't look at things like that. That's just that. Like, if you felt like you didn't have to have the weight on your shoulders to take care of somebody and their child, then you would look at it differently. If you didn't look at it the way that you did, then uh, it wouldn't be that as bad as you try to make it seem. Like people, like I was saying, like you know, on the self-centered journey kind of things. Like, you can only be but so self-centered in life. Like, so you're gonna do that all your life, be too self, and like this is coming from somebody that's introverted as hell. But like, you're just going to be self-centered all the time. Like, and I get it, because it comes from a place of doing for a lot of people when they weren't reciprocating, which is understood. But you also have to remember not to let people change you because of who they are. That's just that. Like, you don't have to conform or dumb yourself down because other people aren't the best people. You know, just make better decisions dealing with certain people. I feel like that's just what excuse me, that certain aspect should go. Like, you know, how about you broaden your horizons as far as the people that you choose to hang around with, and maybe you wouldn't feel like you're everybody's savior, or you're doing things for everybody else. And it's like, I can take that uh that advice as well, but I realize that from time to time, sometimes I put my foot down, sometimes I'm like, all right, whatever, let's go. But you know you don't that doesn't always necessarily mean that you need to not care for one another, or not want to be considerate or caring for another. Like, you don't have to always be guarded and like, oh, or not give yourself fully to somebody because you feel like somebody's not worthy enough yet because of X, Y, and Z. And it's like, why is it why are expectations so high? Like, and it's funny because all of that happens, all of these expectations happen after poor choices. It is all That's all it comes down to. It's like poor choices. you know, and it all comes down to accountability and reflection. If you don't hold yourself accountable, if you don't reflect on anything, then this shit is gonna keep on happening. If you don't change anything about what you're going into or going through, then and you continue complaining about it, then like, what are we doing here? Like, what is the point? What's the point of complaining? You know, I feel like you can apply that to anything, but you know, I feel like for the black social dynamic, it's people should damn, I had my thought and I lost it. I'm very tired, but I feel like because of the black the way it is now, everybody is in survival mode. Everybody is not. They're worrying about them, and if nobody comes to them with the same energy that they expect, or somebody told them that they should come with, then they're not worthy. And it's like, in what world is that real? Like, y'all want the real, but y'all want fake with it. Like, it doesn't make sense. You can't have both. Because the people that are usually coming to you with all of these things checked off are probably not always the best fit for you. And that's just the facts. Like, evidently, if you're always being disappointed, like, no matter who you choose. So it's like, maybe you need to fix your discernment. And this is, I'm not just calling people out or just trying to isolate anybody. This goes for me too. But I just feel like, people don't really think about these things. Like, this is why I tend to stay alone. That doesn't mean that, you know, I want to be alone, but a lot of people, the way people have made uh society now, or just the way we interact, we've made it so awkward and weird. It's kind of it's kind of sad. And I was just telling my friend, oh snap, I was just telling my friend this yesterday. Like, a lot of this stuff is like, all of us, not all of us, a lot of us are products of a damaged generation. Like, check it, like, babies having babies. You know how many people were having babies when I was in high school? Just like, let's just go off of that alone. When I was going into high school, people were going in with kids type shit. So, mind you, this was 2012. I mean, 2022. Okay, yeah. So let's say 10 years ago, because I didn't graduate in 2015. But that's when I did graduate, but that's not when I was in high school or got into high school. So yeah, 10 years ago, people were going into high school with kids. Now, let's look at it like this. 10 years before that, people were still doing that. People were doing that probably at a higher rate. My point is, though, I just went back 20 years. Those kids are adults now from 20 years ago. Those that were born out of wedlock, born into certain situations that probably weren't the best for them, all of these types of things. So their perspective and frame of reference on how life should be, or how partnership and relationship should be, is completely skewed because of generations from before. Like, we know that we have been sabotaged as a people. I hope people don't forget that. Like, we have been sabotaged as a people. Crack, economically sabotage, physically like, you can go on. There's a whole list. Like, the fight isn't over. I don't know why people feel like it's okay to get comfy and shit because they let us get money and shit. Nah, nigga, we still got work to do. Like, we need to put the money in the right places, but we still got work to do. But, 20 years ago, these are the people that were raised or growing up from the people that were damaged by, like, the crack epidemic, by police riots, by a whole bunch of things that was happening before the 2000s. We can go on and on about what was going on before the 2000s, in like the 90s and the 80s. I was born in the late 90s, so there's only but so much I can really reference. But, we all have our phones. We all lived life. We all have a certain a sense of how can I say, a sense of history. We know it's not like people don't know what's going on. We just don't want to hear it anymore. That's really what it's come down to. I think people just don't really care anymore. We didn't got so distracted by our phones, social media, money, all of this other shit that we really forget that, yo, we are damaged. Hella damaged. I don't know why people think that everybody should be okay. Like, that's, no. No, bro. Therapy. Motherfuckers need therapy like a mug, bro. I'm in therapy right now. I feel like I should have been in it. But I feel like a lot of black people need therapy, even the ones that feel like they don't need therapy, bro. You can't tell me that you've been through a lot of shit in your life. Like people that haven't even been through crazy traumatic experiences within their life still go to therapy. So and still need therapy from time to time, like, and don't realize what things affect them and bother them and this, that, and the third. So if you've had a traumatic upbringing or you've been through a lot as a youth, what makes you think that you don't need therapy of any kind or you don't need some type of help of any kind to decompress, to unpack whatever it is that is blocking you? What makes you think that you're so perfect or you're so untouchable that you can't that you're not allowed to say I'm not okay and that you need help? Like it's not a sign of weakness if you want therapy. It's not a sign of weakness that you ask for help or you try to rely on someone. No. That's pride right there. If that's what you're telling yourself, well, I don't need nothing. I don't need nobody. I'm good. I'm straight. Like you just being prideful because we all need a little help every now and then. You know what I'm saying? If you feel like you can do it all by yourself, then shit, become Iron Man or Superman or fucking Batman or some shit. Save us all. The fuck? If you feel like you could just handle all the burdens that life has bestowed upon you without any type of unpackaging. Because it's not like people can't do it by themselves, but some people don't realize what is going on within themselves. So it manifests in different ways. Like they don't realize that, oh, I'm moving like this because of that. You know, I'm feeling like this because of that. I'm feeling like that because of this. You know, there's so much underlying problems within the black community, and I guess people kind of thought that since they gave us money and technology that all of that shit was supposed to dissipate. Like, no, nigga, if anything, it made it worse. Like, not to say that we shouldn't be getting money, but like uh technology has distracted us from the real shit. Like, not to say that technology is a disadvantage, but once you make it more important than life, then there's a problem. There's a problem. So, like back to what I was saying last episode, pardon me. We all plugged in from our pockets, bro. Our phones die nowadays. We don't know what the fuck to do with ourselves. Shit is crazy. Me and myself included. Like, you just be like, damn, what the fuck am I about to do now? Like, we're so reliant on our phones, bro. Like, what makes you think that we good, we straight, everybody should be on the same wavelength or should be at the same point in life as the ones that actually had a valid upbringing 20 years ago? Like, that's all that is. I mean, and that's not to say that everybody, like, that's not to say everybody that's successful had a good childhood or a shitty childhood. And that's not to say vice versa. Everybody that had a bad outcome in life had a bad upbringing or a good one. It all varies. But that's not to ignore the fact that there's still things that are affecting us that we don't see. You know what I mean? That's the main point of it all. Like, there's still things that are in front of us, in our minds, that are affecting us and how we treat each other and interact with each other, you know? And it doesn't always have to be technology, but it doesn't always have to be technology, but just even like how we interact with each other is enough of a sign that we all need help, or a good lot of us need help. You know what I mean? Like, just what we find out about ourselves relationship wise, all of that type of stuff. Like, yo, it gets deep, bro. Like, I don't think people really, I think this is the thing though. I think people are scared to go deep. I think that's what it is at this point. They're afraid to really go on that deep dive and try to figure out what it is that's bothering them, and, really deal with those emotions. People don't want to feel that. They don't want to seem weak. And it's like, yo, bro, you don't realize that's probably the strongest shit that you could do. Just because you cry about it doesn't mean that you're weak. It's because crying is just a releasing of emotions. Like, you feel me? Like, it's a release. You don't understand how many times I done cried on some shit, and then, like, I felt completely better right after. Like, it's almost, it's mind boggling, because it's like you would think that um you would think it was the you would think you would feel shittier or sadder because you cried. But it's like, nah, like, I'm glad I got that off my chest. I'm glad I let that energy out. I released that energy. I'm glad I don't feel so uptight anymore. I don't feel so, like, pent up energy. That's what it is a lot of the time. But I just feel like people don't realize how how much social media and our own traumas are affecting us to this day. I think that's my main point. Like, it's affecting us so much, unconsciously, subconsciously, and consciously, that everybody just kind of said, fuck it. We all gonna do our own shit. We gonna be fucking on everybody, leaving everybody, cheating anybody, doing whatever to anybody, as long as I'm straight. You know, with no care for the future as a collective. I think that's my thing. I'm so worried about the collective, but with the collective, you need to worry about each individual. But each individual has to worry about themselves as well in order for the collective to be well. Because you can't. Because what does it say? It takes a village to raise a child. It takes. I always had this saying. It takes a village to save a child or raise a child, but what does it take to raise a village or a community? You know what I'm saying? It takes everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, it takes everybody's part to come together and make it better. Like, to try to make it better, to try to progress better. You know what I mean? Like, I hope I'm not saying something that's too far fetched or too optimistic. But I just feel like that's That's what it is. That's from my lens. That's what it seems like. It seems like people just expect others to do so much and do so little, just because that they feel like they deserve it. And it's like, nah, it's a give and take. Do unto others what you feel like you should be done unto you. So, if you're doing shitty to other people, you feel me? It's karma, my nigga. Like, if like, what you mean? Like, what we doing here? I think let's see what else we have right now. Yeah, I feel like back to what I said last episode. I said we being we being distracted. It's like a division tactic. It's like a divide and conquer tactic through technology, and then virtually or excuse me, in real spaces. You know what I mean? So it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy out here. I just hope that we all get it together and figure it out somehow, some way, at some point. Because it I care about all of us. I care about all of y'all. I hope we all prosper at a certain point in our lives and figure out what it is that we should do with ourselves, and what it is that make us happy in life, and what we would be content with doing in life, and content with who we are with in life. Like, I feel like that's just about that. Like, I just hope we all get it together, man. Figure it out. Figure out how to be better together. Because if we don't figure it out, try to figure it out now, like I said last episode, we definitely gonna be a lost people. But I don't want to keep saying that and bring that energy out. But there's people out there that are attempting and doing the damn thing. That's another thing with media. The media will make you think that nobody's progressing out there and nobody is uh uplifting the community. That's one thing. It would show you all the negatives, but not the positives. So I don't want to say that, like, yo, there's nobody out here doing anything positive for the black community. It's just that you don't see it. So therefore, in us not seeing it, there's no like example, or there's no motivation for us to for others to want to take the same initiative and move forward in their lives, try to progress in their lives in the best way they can, and the freest way they can. You know, so that's just my standpoint on us versus us, black men, versus black women. Like, that's just how I feel, how things are today with it, and I just hope it gets better. Like I said, because I feel like we're running out of time, but as all things get better with time. So we gotta have faith. Gotta have faith. And this has come from somebody that isn't religious. So how long we've been going? I think that's good for right now. Probably leave some stuff for next time. Probably have a couple of other ideas, but leave it to next time. Yeah. So what is coming up? So let's talk about me real quick. I dropped a project on May 13th, The Calm, a 4-track EP, uh, introspective type of things, talking about social media on one of the tracks as well. Um, Ironically, I dropped a freestyle. Pardon me. I dropped a freestyle on my birthday, 5:30. Exhibit Z. That's on SoundCloud. Um, I dropped a video as well, maybe last week or 2 weeks ago now. I'm glad everybody. I appreciate everybody that checked it out and actually shared the video. I appreciate all the support. I appreciate it all. I have more music coming out. I'm working on a video right now. Lonely Loner 2, LL2, is coming out soon this month. I don't have a set release date. I want to make it 22nd. You know, I might do that. Drop the same day as Joey. But I'm just currently working on a video. Currently trying to build a structure for myself and figure out how I'm going to balance myself out, work-life balance type of things. Yeah, I kind of wanted to just share that because even though I'm doing this podcast thing, I'm not stopping with the music. That's for one thing. I'm not gonna stop doing music. I just needed some time to myself to regather my energy, figure out what it is that I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it, and just get certain things in order so when I am ready to do certain things, I can do them. So that's just that. But new music on the way from your boy Sacred Khalif. Maul's checked in right now, but Sacred Khalif is coming out with more stuff soon. Yeah, I think that's about it for this episode. I'm sorry for the fatigue. Be working my ass off. I be tired and my mind be on 100 miles per hour and my body be on like 5. So, you know how it goes. But thank you for tuning in. If you've reached this part of the podcast, I appreciate you. All support is appreciated, heavily, heavily, heavily appreciated. I'm gonna try to do this every week, dropping every Monday. I'm gonna try to keep that formula going, keep that ball rolling. As far as updates with Spotify and all of those platforms, eventually, more like I just kind of wanted to figure out what I was doing with it or how I should do it, because this is another thing too. I'm doing everything myself. So I'm like right now I'm in my room. In the beginning you heard my turtle moving. Like I have a turtle. So it's a lot on me to do. And I'm talking to myself. So, eventually other people will come. There's already people that already want to come have a conversation on the platform that I'm trying to build. But in due time, everything will be sorted out, figured out, and it'll be a sense of normalcy. Things will really start happening, start having some fun. Soon be outside performing. I have to. As an artist, I have to. That's the one thing that I'm slacking on, but get into that another time. But thank you for tuning in. This is episode 2 of Maal's Mind. I hope I hear from you next time. Thank you. See ya.